Hello, all, and a very warm welcome to our all new series, Voices of Women. Frankly speaking, I did not have this on my agenda when I started my channel. However, our guest today inspired me to come up with this series. When I came up with my first Face from the Crowd series, she asked me, "Why don't you bring in housewives on your channel?" That triggered my thought process. Indeed, the role of a housewife is very undermined. The modern day housewife, home manager, or homemaker, as she is differently referred to, has to adorn multiple caps to run the family. From being an expert cook to a teacher to the kids to an accounts manager or a dietitian, or for that matter, a sports person to engage the kids with sports. The list goes on and on. In fact, many housewives also try to earn their bit of income by running a home business or working online. It is very difficult for an educated modern woman to give up her career and settle down as a housewife or a homemaker, a highly undermined, unpaid, and unappreciated role. In spite of this, a housewife often has a smile on her face and stands as confident as a rock. I strongly believe that every woman has a story to share. And I thought it was appropriate to give that platform to all those women to share their inspiring stories. Stories of sacrifices, stories of plans and strategies to bring in better individuals for the next generation. In line with these thoughts, I would like to welcome our guest today, Jyothi Paleti, who has herself done her post graduation in sciences and is now in London. Let us hear her story. So, hello, Jyothi, a very warm welcome to Voices of Women. And tell us a little about yourself, Jyothi.
Hello, yeah, thank you very much for having me on your show. I think I'm the first guest in your new series. Thank you for that. I was born and brought up in Hyderabad. I actually started my education in a Kendriya Vidyalaya school and then continued in Kendriya Vidyalaya for until the 12th class. And then I did my graduation and post graduation in Usmania University affiliated colleges. Then after that, I got a job in GE, worked there for 3 years, and then got married, had a son, and then we moved to UK in 2006, and then since then we have been living here.
Okay, wonderful. You said yes, you're the first guest. In fact, I had mentioned it in the introduction as well that when I came up with my first video, first episode on A Face from the Crowd, you were the first one who said, why not voice out the housewives version as well? Why not bring in a housewife onto the platform as well? So that is what inspired me, in fact, to start this entire series. So I thought I should have you as my first guest since you triggered my thoughts first. So since that is the background, I would also like to know what made you actually think about this whole thing about coming onto the show. Actually, how did you even think of? Why did you even think of accepting to be on the show? Because I strongly believe that every woman has a story to tell. Because especially these days when even housewives are very highly educated, are multi-talented. So probably every woman has a storehouse of knowledge. So I wanted to know what exactly you wanted to share with us while you thought of being on the show.
Yeah, when I said what about a housewife, I actually meant it as a joke. I was not at all serious with that. But when you came up with this idea, I thought, yeah, why not? It is true. Housewife, it's not a recognized profession, but it is quite a good profession. enjoyable profession, and it's like having everything in one job, all in one kind of job. Like if you think the advantages and disadvantages of being a housewife, yes, there is a lot. To me personally, I wanted to be a housewife, not for, of course, not for the entire life, but initially when I had my son, I wanted to enjoy his movements. So I took a break thinking that I'll go back. At that time we were in India. So I thought I'll have a support, family support, so I can go back once my son grew up. But fortunately or unfortunately, we had to move to UK when my son was very little, and I ended up resigning the job entirely. And after coming here, there was no chance, not even a thought that I could go back to work, as I have a little child with me. I heard so many women say, oh, we missed my son's first steps. We saw his first steps. We missed his first saying, first words. So when I heard those things, I was like, oh, thank God I didn't miss any of that. And so that was the advantage, positive side, I can say. But at the negative side, at the same time, you are all by yourself. There's no help for you, and you're stuck with your son. Although you enjoy his moments, but you're kind of stuck with him or her, and you don't get to do things that you really want to do. That phase lasts for only 4 or 5 years, and once your kid starts going back to school, you get a bit of free time, and then you start back work if you want to, or you start doing things that you like to do. So yeah, it's balanced. But for me personally, I was fortunate enough that I don't need to work, because well off financially, thankfully.
Wonderful. So that was good. I think being educated and have had worked for a while. I think it takes a lot of boldness to even give up your career, because I think many women wouldn't like to give up their career at all, because once they are used to actually working, it becomes very difficult for a woman to give up the career and then choose to be with the family. Jyoti, tell us a little about your childhood, the way you grew up, and the kind of schooling you had, and what was the values that you got from your parents as you grew up.
Well, my childhood was, I had a very good childhood, with loving and caring parents, responsible parents, and had a wonderful time with my siblings as well. I do miss them a lot, remembering those times. And then I think on overall, I can say I was lucky person all through my life. So as a child, I was a bit shy, not confident at all. But the upbringing and all, we have this cultural thing. We were taught everything, about our culture and everything. How should a woman live? So those things were kind of put in from the childhood, either from the stories from the society, or stories from our own parents. We kind of got them in our mind since childhood, and before even getting married, our mindset was in a way that you should adjust. When you go to a new house, when you get married, it is you who should adjust rather than them adjusting to you. Well, but on the other side, I was so lucky. Although I went with that mind, with that intention, on the other side, I was also welcomed with open hands, and I haven't had any problems in my new in-laws house. So I was like, so I think one way, feeding that thing from the childhood that you should adjust, I'm not sure, it could be positive or it could be negative. It depends on the other person who takes the woman for granted when she arrives at his or his house. If the woman is so adjusting, has got so much adjusting nature, she would be undermined. She wouldn't have her own life if she gets so much adjusted and she gets used to it. At the same time, if a woman cannot adjust to the new life, there might be problems. They might end up divorcing. And again, in that situation also, it will be the woman who will be blamed according to our society, especially the Indian society. So it's like both, it must be a balance. So what I feel now is, after seeing so much societal cultural issues in our Indian culture, it is down to women, majorly mother especially, if they have a girl and a boy, they should treat them both same. Girl is meant to help mom in the kitchen, and boy should sit next to his dad watching TV. No, that should not be the case. Both boy and girl should come and help out mom in the kitchen. In our age, it was a bit like that. Boys are not supposed to work. If they work, mom herself, being a woman, she feels bad. A mom these days should do those things, so that the boy grows up knowing that he has to do some chores as well. And when he becomes a husband, he would help his wife out.
Very true, very true. So somehow I think though we all were taught to adjust and to be the right kind of woman, I think when we look back in a certain way, of course, it did help us probably. But sometimes, yes, we feel that we could have been more assertive in certain situations, and that is what probably every old school woman would say. So, did you ever think, Jyothi, that your life would shape up the way it shaped up now? Do you have any other expectations as a young woman before marriage?
To be frank, I never had any plans or thoughts or dreams about how my life should be, because I'm a person who takes life as it comes to me, the way it comes to me. I have been lucky that whenever I got a new thing in my life, it was always better than the old one. So it's kind of, I've got what more than what I want or what I need. So I'm like quite happy with my life now.
That's so nice to hear, actually. So nice. Now, you were also mentioning about marriage, Jyoti. Now, for a woman, marriage, especially in India, marriage can be a life-changing thing, because quite naturally you have to do so many adjustments, as you also mentioned earlier. So, did you see any change in your lifestyle or in your way of thinking, in spite of the fact that your in-laws were good and you had a good family? In spite of everything, do you feel that there was a change in your thought process post-marriage?
Yes, there is definitely change in my thoughts. Um, because I have gone to a new house now, I cannot get up whenever I want, as I used to do in my mom's house. And if I am a bit unwell or if I am a bit moody, I used to take that as an advantage when I was in my mom's house, but not in when I went to in-laws house, because it was like I felt myself it's not good to behave like that. I am now an adult, a married person, and I have responsibility, so I should not be behaving like that. So yes, those were the little changes that I had. And cooking was one of the major changes that happened, because I never cooked in my mom's house. First day when I cooked just the rice and the potato fry, that I felt like an achievement on that day. I learned how to handle the finances, and for the first 1 year, me and my husband, we both had this practice session, so we have a better life later.
Yeah, that's the story of any couple, I would say. You slowly learn as a spinster, or maybe even as a bachelor. We don't give much of a thought to all these things, but once you come together as a family, I think your responsibilities increase, and both the partners, I think, grow up eventually, mature eventually, as life goes on, because you have to, ultimately you're on your own finally today, and you have to take care of yourself. Very well said. Okay, another question, Jyoti. Now, you said I chose to be a housewife. Was that decision easy to take, or did you at least feel a little bit of apprehension about leaving your job or your career at any point of time?
after 5 months in 5 months into pregnancy, 5 6 months into pregnancy, I was told to have a rest, not to work, by the doctors. So I took medical leave, and then after delivery, I thought it's time for me to enjoy my son now. Although at that time I didn't know we will be moving to UK, but then with the thought that I can definitely go back to the same job. I will have my job if I want to go back. At the end of 2 months again, I decided, well, it's not worth going to job at this time, because of course there is a little suggestion involved from my mother-in-law in this. She suggested, she did not even advise, she just suggested. She said, I know so many women who miss their children, their little kids, first things, first steps, first words, because they are going to work. Thankfully, you don't need to work, so you decide if you really want to miss those things. So I took that suggestion as an advice, and I felt that was the right thing to do. So although I kind of somewhere I felt I should be working, but then this overcame this thought that I should be enjoying my son, overcame all the other thoughts.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, now, Jyoti, there are times when people probably, look down upon a person who is a housewife, not openly maybe, but at times there are these weird expressions that people give, oh, only a housewife. So, did you ever face that? If at all you did, how did you handle those kind of situations? And how do you keep yourself confident amongst all these things? As you said, there are always moments when you feel that, oh no, I could have worked. There are so many people out there who are really working and, doing something fabulous. So, did you ever also face any such situations? And if you did go through those kind of situations, how did you deal with it?
Yeah, when my son was little, and I used to take him with me when he was little in the pram or anything, and if someone had asked me if I do any job just while chit chatting in a park or something, then at that time I proudly used to say, no, I am a housewife, because I don't even have to explain them why I am a housewife. But slowly, when I went to a place alone without my son, when people ask me, do you work? Then I felt a little, I don't know if I can say ashamed or embarrassed to say that I am a housewife. There were moments. But at the same time, I also, when I said I am a housewife, when I was asked what is my profession, to fill any forms or on phone, or then when I said I am a housewife, then the reaction from them was quite normal. There was no, I mean, I didn't get the feeling that, oh, I'm just a housewife. No, but yes, there were a few. I myself felt ashamed to say I'm a housewife. Maybe because I'm an educated person. I worked before, so I had to go back to work. I had that feeling I had to go back to work. Maybe those were the things that made me feel like that. But then when I thought back, no, I don't have to feel. I myself said to myself, I don't have to feel that way. I'm doing a wonderful job being a housewife. They don't know about my situation. Let them think what they want to think. There was one moment when I had to speak to the head teacher of my son's school when he was in that school for something. We were having a chat, and at that time I mentioned I'm just a housewife. Then she said, don't say just a housewife. Housewife in itself is a very good, very big job. Don't say just. Say you're a housewife. Don't use that word. And that actually, I felt proud at that moment.
True, indeed. So, yes, it takes a lot of guts for a woman to say that it's okay, I will stay back and, take up the responsibility of the house. For that, of course, I think you need to have a lot of confidence on your partner, otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do that. What do you say on that? Because if you have the slightest doubt, the younger generation, especially the present generation, what I see, Jyothi, is that they are kind of prepared for that future divorce kind of a situation. In fact, even parents these days prepare their kids to that kind of a situation. So you foresee something, and though you love your partner, there is always a doubt behind that there may be a day when you may have to part ways and you will have to, fend for yourself. So, what is your opinion about that? What kind of trust do you have on your partner? What made you actually trust him so much, given the fact that you were in an arranged marriage and not a love marriage?
Well, that is again, it was fed in the mind from the childhood. You just trust the person that you marry. That's it. There is no other way. Well, it takes some time after you get married to trust each other. And when I say this, it's from both sides. A husband needs time to trust his wife, and wife needs time to trust her husband. Major decisions we both make together, generally, like buying a house or buying a car. For buying a house, it was like we took a couple of months. We used to go to Starbucks, take coffee, sit down, and we used to have a book or pen and everything, and then we used to do our finances. Like if we put up this much money, what will we be end up with? So we did a lot of homework together. So it's not that he only makes those decisions, but major decisions I do a bit of groundwork, but I leave it to him to decide, because his decisions so far were good. They never fired back. So I do trust him. So there was no problem in trusting him, and so that's one of the reasons why I think I don't have to work, I don't have to earn, but only now at the moment I work, I go and work in a school as part-time job. That's only because I have to socialize with people, not to earn.
That's very nice. So, again, the last question, I guess, Jyoti. Housewives versus a working woman, advantages, disadvantages. I think the debate always goes on. There are a lot of people who are only for working women, a lot of people who say that you have to be only a housewife. So, what is your take on this debate? What would you comment on it?
That's a debate for ages. I think that's been going on for ages, and it will go on for a few more ages. When it's major, this housewife versus working woman is, whether you're a housewife or a working woman, a woman has got a lot to do in family. If you're a housewife, you're expected to do every little thing. You are expected to teach your children, pickups and drops, and then as a driver. So actually, as a housewife, you're not just a housewife. You do lots of things. A woman, in whether a job, a working woman or a housewife, is kind of a juggler. Actually, she does so many things in her life, and especially a housewife, the expectations are more from a housewife, from her own kids and from her own husband. Husband thinks he has done a great job. Of course, I am not denying it is a great job. He is the breadwinner of the family, but he thinks he has done a great job. He comes home, he wants to rest. While he's working at office, what was the wife doing? He won't think that. Wife took care of the house. She cleaned up all the mess that kids and husband made before they left the house. She cooked for them. She shopped for them. She went out, got the groceries, shopping. She did so many things, but husband's point of view, you are just sitting home doing nothing. So that's a little thing. If after the husband comes home, yes, you freshen up, come down, sit down in sofa and wait for your food. At that time, it feels good if a husband takes some time to come to his wife, just ask a few questions about how was her day so far. Although she didn't work, just ask a question. How was her day so far? How was she feeling? Did she have any problems with the kitchen? When she's cooking for you in the kitchen dinner, go and help her out. Or at least sit down and have a chat with her while she's working. So that gives her the motivation. She feels she's cared for, she's loved. That's it. That's the only 5-10 minutes, not more. Not more. If it is more, she'll be bored again. So so just keep it short, but show that you love her, you care her. That's it.
Okay, fine. Wonderful, wonderful. So I think it was very great to have you here on the show, Jyothi, and I'm sure there will be many women out there who would agree with you on what you said. Whether it is a housewife or a working woman, ultimately, those tiny, minor things are something that we all expect from the man of the house, our husbands, to be there for us when we are probably not well or maybe even on a daily basis. It may be a bit of exaggeration, but those are the small romantic moments that a woman probably looks forward to. They may not be actually romantic, but when the man is just there, you can feel the romance. It is there in the air. So yes, those are the tiny, tiny things that I think that women expect from men. And I don't know how many men really even realize that or even know it. There are a lot of people who do not even know, who are not aware of what a woman thinks, I think. So you put it across very wonderfully, Jyothi. Thank you for being on the show. It was great. So that was Jyothi Paleti for you on Voices of Women. I hope you all liked the episode. If you did, please do not forget to hit the like button, share the video as much as possible, and if you intend to be on the show, please do mention in the comment section so that we can approach you and have you on the channel. Bye bye and see you soon.